was 8 years old, I attended my first year of Camp Kindering, a sleepaway camp in faraway Hopewell Junction, New York. It was my first time away from home alone. And since I was the only child, it was also my first time living with other kids my age. Our first breakfast of the summer was served in a wood-framed dining room, where bunkmates sat together at large oval tables. The waiters, 16-year-old campers who acted like they owned the place, served us soggy scrambled eggs and those small individual boxes of Kellogg's cereal, my favorite being Sugar Pops. In the center of each table was an aqua blue plastic pitcher which held the extremely watered down orange juice. "Can you pass the juice?" I asked another bunk member. "The juice?" he asked, and the rest of the table laughed at my slight lisp. "Do you mean the juice?" Now, I know some of you are already gripping your chair, preparing for an unsettling Lord of the Flies saga about mean boys and the bullying of the weak. But that is not the story here. I was lucky enough that the story veered off very quickly. 2 days later, a bunch of guys in my bunk came over to me. One of them was carrying a Frisbee. "Yo, Juice," he said, "you want to play Frisbee football?" Now, say what you want about the patriarchy, but one good thing about boys is that maybe because of their ADHD, they have terrible memories. So after 2 days of the incident at breakfast, no one remembered why I was called Juice. It was just my nickname. When I returned the following summer, the lisp was gone, but I was still Juice. And for the next 8 summers that I attended this camp, even when I finally became one of those jerk waiters who threw soggy scrambled eggs at the other campers, the name remained. The nickname gave me a special identity, despite its odd origins. I hate to use one of the cliches of modern times, but it was actually empowering. It was my first experience of having an alternative identity, much like Clark Kent had Superman. During the winter, I was a goody two-shoes citizen of the month grade A student named Neil. But in the summer, I put on my shorts, my striped white tube socks, and my green Adidas, and became Juice. Yeah, my mother still sewed my real name into a label in my Fruit of the Loom underwear, but everyone knew me just as Juice. Now, in many traditions, the naming of the child is an important statement because tradition believes that the name molds the child's personality. You know, like Simba in The Lion King, or in my Jewish family. My parents named me Neil. It was an okay name, but actually I found it uninspiring. For every Neil Armstrong stepping on the moon, there was a Neil Sedaka or a Neil Diamond singing pop songs about love. To me, Neil was a nice Jewish boy who listened to his parents and teachers and didn't smoke pot or drink beer or have any fun. "Why did you name me Neil?" I asked my mother. "Well, you named after your father's late uncle, Nathan." "Well, then why didn't you name me Nathan then?" You know, that's a little bit more macho. You know, like, and the only one I can think of was Nathan Lane from, I said, well, maybe not Nathan, but maybe like Norman, like Norman Bates, you know. And, you know, maybe there just are no good end names. So Neil it was. But came the summer, it didn't matter because I became Juice. Juice to me meant energy, a spark, currents of electricity. Let's turn the juice on, someone might say, as they turn on the engine of a Lamborghini. Well, so I imagine, because I don't drive. On paper, my personality didn't change much from winter to summer. I was still a goody two-shoes who was awful at sports, but my nickname transformed the perception of myself. Neil wouldn't play football, go sailing, or know how to build a tent, but Juice would. Neil wouldn't take chances, but Juice might even smoke pot, drink a beer, or kiss a girl. Hell, I even learned to drive. Neil inhibited me, bounding me to the responsibility of civil society, while Jews freed me to be as wild as nature within the limits of my personality, because even today, one beer is pretty wild. At school, I was invisible. At camp, everyone knew my name. Gradually, I learned to integrate some of this juice into my Neil world and learned that our personalities can be fluid. My nickname was my introduction into adulthood, to the complexities of identity. It was Psychology 101, learned at the campfire in upstate New York. I was lucky. My nickname, based on a lisp, transformed me in a positive way. Some children are not as lucky. A name like Fatty or Freckles can torment a person for a lifetime. Names are powerful. So much of modern times revolves around thinking about our identity, how we see ourselves, our tribes, or even our own country. I use my full name in the dangerous world of social media. Others are forced to use aliases because it's the only way they can express themselves without their families or employers seeing them. Others have to hide from all the nonsense online, either from abuse or the Russian government. These are dangerous times, and I'm glad I was able to live with two identities in a more simpler time. Even my parents eventually thought it was cool how I became Juice, how their Clark Kent found their Superman. I just mentioned Facebook a second ago. Like many of you, Facebook has allowed me to reconnect with long-lost friends. Last summer, I traveled to upstate New York to attend a reunion of friends from my old sleepaway camp. I was nervous driving up to Taconic. I hadn't seen some of these people in 30 years. I rang the doorbell. Hey, it's Juice. So one of my long-lost bunkmates. Neil is the name my parents gave to me. But ever since that breakfast at camp, when I said, Pastor Juice, I've been Juice. I have two names, and I wouldn't be the same today without both of them. Thank you.